She analyzed UFO footage from inside a Pentagon task force. 9 days ago, the Trump administration released 28 declassified UFO videos, the biggest official Pentagon UAP release ever. She still works inside U.S. intelligence. She also reads the dead. In 2012, she died on an operating table. After she came back, the visits started. Today, she's back to react to what the Pentagon just released and to talk about the day she came back. Welcome to the Good Trouble Show. I'm Matt Ford. 9 days ago, the Trump administration released 28 declassified UFO videos through the new Pursue system, the biggest official Pentagon UAP drop since the 2020 Navy footage. Today, we're going to look at them with someone who used to look at this stuff from inside the building. And we'll also get to a popular mechanics piece that just dropped this week, a story about her you need to hear. So our guest today is a former National Geospatial Intelligence Agency analyst, a Pentagon Air Force nuclear analyst, and a former analyst on the Department of Defense UAP task force. She still works inside the intelligence community today as a geospatial intelligence engineer for Army 10 Cap. I'm not sure what Army 10 Cap is, but we'll find out. She's also a psychic medium, and this week she's on the cover of Popular Mechanics. We should note that Sarah is appearing tonight in her personal capacity. Her views are her own and do not represent the U.S. Army, the Department of Defense, or the federal government. Please welcome back to the show, Sarah Gamm. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I have been okay. Yeah, it's been a typical chaotic day today, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And yeah, because you were out doing a little softball, I believe. Is that right?
Yes. I was playing softball, and every once in a while I have a gravity check, and that happened today. So I ended up taking a head dive into the dirt at one point. So it's nice to be clean right now.
Oh God, yeah. You know, I am like the least coordinated person you will ever meet. Like I sucked. I was like the guy in elementary school and middle school that no one wanted to pick to be on their team. I was busy geeking out to other things, and it certainly wasn't athletics. So I think it's been around 8 months, maybe longer, since our last conversation. Last time you were on, I remember you were kind of brand new to going public. How are you doing after going on full kimono?
That was you're in some sort of time warp. That was over a year and a half ago.
Was it? Oh wow.
But, yeah. Life has been. I'll call it a roller coaster. I have experienced more than what I thought I would, and also exactly what I thought I would during this time. I expected, negativity and not kind people. I didn't anticipate it to be at the level that it has been. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of, clarity in, I'll call it people's intentions, I guess. I don't know. It's been a roller coaster. I have met so many amazing people, and I feel truly grateful and blessed overall.
Yeah, because I remember back then, and again, this is the time warp, so I may have forgotten. But you were pretty scared at that point about really going out there and talking about your UAP experience. Now, back when we had you on the show, I was kind of looking at this whole thing as like, let's just like focus on the nuts and bolts part and not the woo and all of that. So I know when I had you on, I said let's just stick to that. But that's was the main reason I wanted to have you back, in addition to talking about these Pentagon videos, was to talk about this whole other side of you that we never got into on the show a year and a half ago or whatever it was. So are you? Because I know at the time you were pretty scared about the whole thing, about coming out. Did you receive any kind of sort of professional pushback or professional repercussions after appearing on the show?
No, I never have, until some well-known people were well-known in the UAP community were slandering me trying to discredit me. So I never had any pushback from my coworkers, from my security officers, because I report everything to my security. I joke that from the Goonies movie, when Chunk is like being kind of interrogated on stuff, and then he just like word vomits all the things. That's me to my security officer, because I don't want to risk anything. To me, like my heart is in this topic, but it's not worth my career. So I report myself all the time for most of my podcast appearances. So luckily, security knew what was happening in the background when I was being attacked and slandered. So other than that, no, everybody has been either super supportive and they'll ask questions once in a while, or I even get people that don't care at all. They're like, okay, that's cool. Like I gotta go home and deal with my kids and, take my kids to sports and cook for the family or whatever. So I feel very fortunate that no one has really cared, or they've invested in a optimistic curiosity way. Is that
right?
Yeah.
And feel free if there's anything that you want to address about, I know you said there maybe were some kind of misrepresentations of you after your appearance. You're more than welcome to address that here, or we can move on. Totally up to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't anticipate that. I don't know if I want to address it because it's in the past, and I don't think even name calling and bringing up the people is worth it. It's very unfortunate by how unprofessional the individuals were and the people they got involved with it. For all of them involved to not fact check, because a lot of the things they were saying about me, I had publicly said otherwise. Yeah, and for the truth to come out eventually as well was pretty validating. So I just want to leave it as a disappointment in myself, like not in myself, but it's a disappointment for the unprofessionalism that was done, and it's in the past.
I completely understand. And I was talking about sort of professional repercussions. I know when we were sort of setting this interview up, talking about what we were going to speak about, you had mentioned that some of these videos that the Pentagon released, you had actually looked at. And one of the things that I said was, it'd be really cool if you could say on air, oh yeah, this is a video that I analyzed. And what happened with that?
My security officer said, no. I mean, he said a lot more words than that, but appreciated me asking, and for just, not worth it type reasons, and many others that it is not smart for me to say, yes, I know what that is. I've seen that and helped with that one. So I cannot officially, point a finger and say I did that or I didn't.
So 9 days ago, Trump releases these, the Trump administration released these 28 declassified videos, and it was something I think you called the Pursue system or something like that. What was your reaction when you saw the news? Of course, one of the issues with putting out any kind of video or photo is that you're always going to have a group of people that are going to be disappointed because, everybody, it's kind of like, you hear about a movie from so many people and they really hype it up, and no matter how good the movie is, because you've had all of this hype, when you go to see the movie, sometimes you're let down. What was your reaction? Were you let down, or were you pretty excited about it?
I'll run through the emotions. Initially, super duper excited. I didn't expect so many pages worth of information out there. And I thought it was a massive step for the government itself. I mean, in the early days when we talked about disclosure, what that meant was one of the things that it meant was the government acknowledging it had classified data for decades of UAPs and UFOs out there. And that happened. So that was a huge moment. I felt so proud, might tear up, because I teared up a lot that day, and I would look back through the data, and I felt so proud to have even a small fraction of a part in it. That I had so many feelings of emotions of pride and happiness. And then when I really started looking at the data, it was a little bit of a disappointment. But I've been saying in my interviews this whole time, for anybody who's seen my past interviews, that I knew the public would be disappointed because it's hard to see in the data, just like what we'll probably go through now. It's so hard to depict what is what, if it's anomalous or if it's just like a bird or a dot. So, I mean, that same stuff was still rolling through my head. But when I started seeing familiar videos, it was such a proud moment. I've been saying there's so much out there that is classified that could be released, and it happened. But wait, the Apollo stuff? Oh my gosh, the photos. The photos were my favorite thing. I kept on staring at them and in awe. And of course, like the transcript and those kinds of things had been released before. I had never thoroughly read them, like start to finish. So that was my first time really sitting down and reading those as well. But those Apollo photos, oh my gosh.
Yeah, those were something else. And the thing I was most bummed about was the Apollo photo that has what looks to be a triangle craft above the lunar surface. That photo had been given to me like 2 years ago by a source. And I remember looking at it going, holy shit, this is a really big deal. And then with my typical severe ADHD, I completely forgot about it. And it went into some file folder. And when it came back, I'm like, oh, I totally forgot I had that photo stashed around. But yeah, it was really pretty impressive. And and the thing I'll say is, I mean, look, no other president has done what Trump has done as far as saying, okay, we're going to put this stuff out. It's never happened. So, my hat is off to the administration. My hat is off to President Trump for taking this on. And, and look, this is the first batch of videos. I would suspect it's like, you go to some fine dining place, you're going to get an appetizer. They're going to set the table, before you're going to move on to the real meat of the issue and move on to the real meal. And, who is that?
It's Krypton. He decided to join, like he tends to. So,
I love Cat. Unfortunately, he's welcome on the show anytime. But anyway, yeah. So I wasn't disappointed. I mean, sure, it would have been great to see like a close up of a Tic Tac or something like that, but just the fact that these came out and the fact that they came out on a government website, it wasn't like, oh, here, give it to the New York Times. You guys do with it whatever you want. I mean, this was the government putting this out. So I think it's a win. I certainly hope we get to see more compelling stuff. I have a feeling that we will. I know Anna Paulina Luna is really fighting for that. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm really hopeful though that this first round is like prepping for bigger and better, right? So we'll get to, of course, I'm a very big optimist. I think everybody out there knows that about me, or else I wouldn't be in this seat and continuing talking about what I do. But I'm really hopeful, and in my beautiful mind that I have, it's like the next round will be aircraft recovery documents. And then perhaps either that one or the next one will be bodies that had been recovered and details of like the military involvement, because they were a huge factor in a lot of these recovery missions. So I know that's a lot of optimism, people, but I'm going to stay hopeful and I'm going to hope and manifest for that.
I absolutely love that. So before we get into these videos, and I just kind of picked a batch of what I thought were interesting, and then some that I think were maybe not so interesting, but I think it's always good to kind of be able to compare the good stuff to maybe the stuff that is not quite as compelling. And of course, I think that there were a few of them that were debunked by Mick West, and he was probably right in his debunking. So I think that that's certainly useful too. But before we roll into any of these, give us a crash course as an image analyst. What do you look for when you're looking at this kind of footage? What's the test, the tests that you run? And of course, we understand you can't speak about anything classified or anything that kind of relates to classified processes or whatever. But is there a way of kind of explaining to us what you do in your professional job?
Yeah. So the first thing, if I get a video or an image, I look at the whole thing multiple times and don't take it for face value anymore. It's sometimes when you look at things like one of the videos that you're going to show is the 8-pointed star. Face value, whoa, that's crazy. And then when you actually hit the play button, that tells a different story. So when you look at all of the data that you have to think about each point, right? Unfortunately, they didn't release any metadata or any background data for the videos, include like weather data is important as well. But I understand because of it being from a classified sensor and a classified platform, because you don't want, like maybe I should say we as in the US and allies don't want our adversaries having our technology. So we wouldn't want them having our sensor data if they don't have it already. So
right.
Again, not releasing metadata, also really frustrating from a scientist because that's super important to look at it. So I feel like I'm like, like the judgment thing, the weigh scales, like balanced right now because I don't want our sensitive proprietary information out, but I also want it out so we could properly analyze the data. So that's what I would do. I would look at it as a whole a few times. I would start researching weather, what the wind was like, the cloud level. I would start those would be my first steps. And then it would be, of course, the location, reaching out to people, analysts that might be more familiar in the area, who reported this. So was it a person? Was it a pilot? And reach out to them to get more information from them. Like, did they have emotions and feelings while they saw some of these? Because that is also a big factor. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
Sure. But in general, like people can look at this stuff and I would imagine come to a pretty good conclusion on their own without having a big technical background, right? Like it's some of this stuff I think is probably pretty obvious, right?
Oh, absolutely. Some of it I immediately, like I said, the 8-pointed star, when you first see it, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And then when you see the entire video, you're like, something's not right here. The math ain't mathing. And you could easily pick up that it's likely not a UAP.
Right. Okay. So let's dig into some of this here. Okay. So
excited. Thank you for having me on to do this.
Oh, no, you absolutely. So I'm a little bit disorganized today, but going to try and get my act together. Okay. So this one is it's a unresolved UAP report in the Middle East. So I'm going to play it here, and just feel free to comment or. And this thing will be on a loop. So, yeah, so here's this one. And again, this is all on a loop. So,
not going to lie, on my screen, that's really hard to see.
there's shoot.
Okay. Okay, so that's the 8-pointed star that I was talking about. You can see the smoke trail. And then off into, I don't know which side people are seeing this, but on one of the sides, you could see something that's like kind of floating. It was pretty quickly debunked, like it was a parachute and a flare. But that, so when you have an IR, a thermal camera, there's pixel saturation and different levels of saturation mean different things. And then again, if you had the metadata, you could actually measure the hotness of some of it and do more nerdy things with the data that way. But from me just looking at this without hitting play, on this video the first time I saw it, I immediately knew this was not a UAP because of the significant pixel saturation. Oh, there it goes. So you can see like the little parachute up there.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that 8-pointed star, that's significant pixel saturation. And so it creates the starburst. And that's similar to, there's a really famous Hubble image that was taken, I think in the mid 90s or something. I forget when, mid to late 90s. And it's of like thousands of galaxies in the image and then a couple of stars. You could easily pick out which are the stars in the image because they have a smaller starburst pattern like that. This is more because it's hot. The stars aren't as hot because there's so much distance there. But yeah, so there's a little bit of image analyst work there for you, and image scientist, actually.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now that was definitely interesting. Okay. Number 2 here. This is, from what I understand, first ever AFRICOM video. What is AFRICOM?
Africa Command. So the military breaks up some branches of support. So you have CENTCOM, Central Command, AFRICOM, Africa. So there's different regions throughout the world that is divided. So when you say CENTCOM, you know that's the Middle East.
Okay.
Or Levant.
Okay.
I don't know what the proper term is anymore. Sorry if I got that wrong.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so let's see here. This is video number 2. Now, this one's pretty short. It just looks like there's something sort of shooting down. You can barely see it at the bottom of the screen.
I can't even see it on my screen. For some reason, the only thing I see on the main screen for me is the web page.
Okay, that's, I think I know why. Hold on one second. Let's see. I'm going to dump out of this.
So while we're holding on, I could actually talk if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
I was, so regarding the whole, oh, there it is. I can hold off on what I was going to say because it's there.
Oh, okay. Go for it. So all I see is just at the very bottom a white dot kind of floating by, sort of unremarkable.
Yeah. So things like this, like when we would get similar things during the task force days, it was hard to prove or disprove because it was so quick. And then you also don't know so many factors. Of course, like all the data is blocked out there, right? So you don't know altitude, you don't know speed, you don't know anything regarding this sensor and this platform from what we could see here. But you would start looking more into, okay, that was probably a bird type things. It might not be duplicated. It was really small. So that would necessarily be unidentified as in it's a UAP, but unidentified as in we just don't have enough data to say what it is or what it isn't.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so let's see here. Next one. So this is Unresolved UAP Report, Department of the Army, 2026. The location is North America. It's most recent incident in this release. Department of the Army submitter said it was rare. So let's see here. So this is what, number 3. What are we looking at? Hold on, did I lose you?
No, I'm just looking. I'm sorry. So it
that's
looks
okay.
To me like it. I don't know. It looks like a boat to me. People probably aren't happy with this, but there's some sort of, because it's so bright, you see like a light pattern that's above. So that again kind of goes with oh gosh, it's not going to be the right term. It's not pixel saturation, but I forget the right term for that. I don't know if I looked at this one the other day. That is really funny. I could have swore I looked at everything.
No, that's okay. So yeah, it's again, it's like really kind of hard to tell like what is going on with this. Almost like when I'm looking at it, it's sort of like looks like two car headlights, but there really isn't just kind of looking here at the description.
Honestly, what it also looks like to me, because when I was in North Carolina at looking at the Brown Mountain Lights, it looks, whenever you're looking through like night vision, it looks like two hikers with headlamps on. Like, that's what that looked like to me. But I'm not saying that's what that is, of course, but I'm just saying it resembles it. I don't know. Does the report say if it's in the air? See, that's again, you can't see any metadata. You don't know if you're looking at water, if you're looking at.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not quite sure on this one. So, and
because that looks like a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. No, back to me. Ugh, my face was right in the camera.
Hold on a second. I'll bring it back up again. Yeah, because it almost sort of looks like you have the two sort of main circles, but then if you look, circles of light, but then if you look below it, it looks like they're being reflected off of a surface.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's almost like the wake as well. Like, if this is a boat, so again, no metadata, you can't tell. So it's really frustrating, but it does look like it's, looking at water. Looks almost like a wake is behind it. Perhaps, the moon's illuminating or something. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't look like it's unidentified. It's like, it doesn't look like a UAP to me, and it's not moving, erratically, but you don't know if it's parallax either because there's no metadata.
Right. Okay. And you've described this as kind of like flipping through a Rolodex of known explanations until there's something that doesn't fit. Like, obviously you're looking at this right now and you're like, yep, it looks like a boat. So how often would you say that stuff in the UAP world that you've come across, like if you were to assign a percentage of stuff that you were able to assign a prosaic explanation to, what would that percentage be versus like the stuff you look at and you're like, I don't know what that is?
Yeah, I never like putting a percentage on this because I make it up on the spot because it's really small and people work in numbers. So it's, to me, just really frustrating that I really don't know, but it's a really small percentage. So 5 to 10%, or actually 5% or less type thing. Because a lot of them are just like the data that we see on the website right now. It's inconclusive, right? Like, you don't know if one of them is a balloon floating on the wind or parallax, or if it's a bird in parallax, because, so parallax, for those that don't know, is when the objects right in front of you, they seem to be moving at a different speed than something behind you. So it's like when you're riding in a car and you're looking out, the stuff right on the side of the road looks to be moving really fast. But if you're looking at, Mount Rainier or a mountain in the background, that doesn't look to be moving much at all. So that's parallax, the different types of movement according to your reference point, which is your eyeballs or the sensor.
Okay, got it. All right, let's see here. We are on to, let's see what this is, number 4. This is Unresolved UAP Report, Indo-PACOM, Department of War, location, Indo-PACOM. Let's see. All right, let's see. This is what, number 4?
They're so tiny. That's so frustrating.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this one, like, this feels.
I mean, to me, this would be like if I was an analyst in my seat researching it, the first thing I would do is look up the weather data, because to me that doesn't look like a UAP. It's not making the sudden movements. It's not doing maneuverable. You don't know. We have no idea what the camera's doing. Oh, wind farm. Maybe it's a bird because it's like making like the gradual movements. I really don't know. So I'm just spitballing right now. I would need to look at more data. I mean, going through the wind farm does look pretty crazy, but I don't see any sudden stops yet. I don't see any sudden acceleration or altitude, like very quick altitude changes.
You know what I want to do here? Let me see if I can.
I think we could rule out it's not a balloon because it is kind of going all over the place.
was trying to see if I can pause. If I can, let's see. Trying to see if I could pause it where I don't know if I'll be able to get the frame, but trying to see
goes like behind or something.
Yeah, that's because this thing seems to be.
It's a really good capture, and so Indo-PACOM is in an area where there are a significant amount of UAPs reported. So having this long of a video and for them to release it, I think is amazing. I just you need more background information to really figure out if it's a UAP or not.
Now, what's interesting here, it may be difficult to see on your smaller screen, but I was able to freeze it at a point where it looks like the orb is being cut in half by that windmill, which I'm guessing from what I'm looking at here it would be to the foreground or be in front of this thing, and I'm not going to be able to kind of. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't see it. So sometimes with thermal cameras, you also get I'm not remembering the proper term right now, but it's an artifact of the thermal sensor. I'm not saying that's what that is here because I can't see it, and I don't. I've learned my lesson, and I don't want to lean into my camera, into my laptop screen to look at it. See, no one needs to see that closely, my face.
Well, and I'll stay on this.
To me, I would just call this unidentified and not necessarily. It's not necessarily classified as a UAP, but it's unidentified. You can't tell what it is. It's not moving in a straight line. It doesn't look like it's floating along the wind like a balloon would be. But I would, yeah.
Sorry. So I didn't notice this at the beginning of the video because it is kind of hard to see. But in this frame, which is the beginning of the frame, you see the windmills at the bottom. So at this point, whatever this is at a higher altitude than the windmill, the top of the windmills.
Well,
I'm just going to
that's also perhaps not true because it just might be further away and it would appear to be at a higher altitude.
Okay. So
cool. That's when some of that parallax comes into play. So we would need the sensor data and and what we would like. I would want to talk to the drone operator to see what they were doing whenever they spotted it. Like, did it just like randomly appear? Was it maneuvering before you were able to capture it? And the fact that they're able to have it in the frame the whole time, to me, also means it's not moving that fast.
I'm playing it back from. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say the ones that we were truly 100% unidentified possible UAP situation would be when like the camera operator couldn't keep it in the in the crosshairs or in the lens because it would suddenly accelerate and they would have to like retrack it and find it again.
Would it, and I won't cut to your close-up, would it help you to be able to lean into your laptop to be able to see it?
That's really funny. I was taking this break.
I'm not going to punk you, and so I'm going to start it back over.
That's so funny. I mean, my lighting is really good right now, but
so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
I would just. Oh, you're okay. I would still. I mean, my comments aren't really going to change. I would still want more data and. I mean, I'm still a scientist, even though I do see it kind of look like it's split. You also see a thing with FLIR. So this is a good example. You could see dead pixels. So up every once in a while, like if you pause it right now, I could point it out to you. So down in the bottom left, there's like a little L that's there's kind of just up and to the left. There's a white spot. So
those are dead pixels.
With sensors, there's dead pixels once in a while, and sometimes we actually used to get reports of UAPs, and they were actually dead pixels on the sensor itself. So that's another fun example to show of what was sent to us and what wasn't.
Okay, but clearly what's moving around isn't a dead pixel.
No. Agreed. Yeah, correct.
Now, one thing I want to point out here is that, okay, so you can see that the camera, to my eye, looks like it's panning left because you're seeing the terrain move below it. So we're continuing to slew left. Then the camera stops slewing, and a bit because you can see that the terrain movement below is pretty minimal. So it's like the camera stops slewing here, and this thing is still moving around and changing directions and zipping around with pretty erratic movement while the terrain is frozen. So to me, that would say that the camera is not slewing, and that right in here.
So that could also, so that's still a part of parallax, because you really don't know if the clouds are moving under there, if terrain, like it's hard for me to see what all of that is. So yes, it appears like that. And it's obviously moving again, right? Because we're seeing these the wind farm. And I really like looking at the windmills. They look really cool in thermal.
You do see one thing I've noticed, and again, I can't really like sort of slow this down, but you will see the dot blip out in some places and not in others, which to me says that in some places it's being blocked. Yeah, in front or behind.
Yeah. And, I can definitely see that it's going in between.
And does
I can even hear some of the people, some of my friends, I could hear their voice saying that's a bird and discounting it. But I would say I would want more data to properly look at this, and see what it is. Cause my brain has ruled out balloon. So it's definitely not a balloon from the movements that's happening. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you, and again, I don't, like parallax, I don't understand, et cetera, but so we know in general, probably, and I don't know what that number is, but what the typical height is of a wind farm, of each whatever you call that thing, generator or whatnot. So with that, could you figure out essentially if you were to put a scale ruler up to one of those wind farm things, and it's 2 inches wide or 2 inches tall on screen, could you then translate that into what the real height is, and then looking at what this dot goes behind each one?
Oh, absolutely.
Could you?
Yeah.
Yes. So then you could figure out.
Yeah, for sure. You could figure out physics, the height of those, especially the location.
Right.
Absolutely. And then you could figure out the relative size and.
What about speed?
But something that gets into what I would call image science, and you could do mensuration and figure out how many meters that object likely is from. You pause it when it goes behind one of the poles and it blacks out, so you could say, okay, so it's not as wide as one of those poles. So you could let's say I'm not even going to speculate. But however, the diameter of the pole, the object's smaller then, so you start calculating size, and then you could relatively make it to calculate speed and stuff from perhaps the speed of the what do you call them? The blades are moving.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, that is interesting. Okay, cool. And this is
weather data is also important.
And I would imagine that's going to be the problem with these videos is for you, as a professional image analyst, it sounds like you're missing a lot of context, a lot of the data. So if they're not going to release it, it sounds like we're not going to really know one way or another if this stuff is truly anomalous, correct?
And yeah, absolutely. So that's what was frustrating for the government to say, okay, we're releasing all of this data. You've been asking for it. Here's my promise fulfilled, but we still can't really do anything with it, right? Just trying to look at that face value, it's still really hard. It looks cool. it looks anomalous, but we don't know. So that was the frustrating part. And another frustrating part of the information drop was, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but there was a lot of information not provided. There was a handful of years gap that happened to be like when Lou Elizondo was in charge of, was it AWASP, or I forget what acronym it was at the time, then the task force that I was on. ATIP, yeah.
ATIP?
When was AWASP? It was an ATIP, AWASP, and then Task Force Area. Whatever all that is, all the above. Yeah, exactly. So it was never a. How did I add a W in it? That's so funny. So data wasn't provided from most of those years. I thought that was an interesting thing. So I'm again going to be optimistic that I'll say data wasn't provided yet from those times, but I do know there was a lot out there, and I saw like almost zero of it. There was one video that I got to somewhat help with, and I say that lightly because I was doing some turnover to somebody on the aero side of things, and like helping do the laydown of like, here's what we do. Here's, go to this place to reach out to like MQ-9 operators. And so I did get to help with one, but there was no task force data.
Okay. So we're going to take a really quick break here. So quick breather, folks. We're about halfway through. We've got a few more videos that we're going to look at, and then we're going to get into the Woo stuff. She has some really interesting stuff to share about that. But folks, if you are not subscribed, hit that button, ring the bell, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up. I know it sounds like a lot, but here's why it matters. YouTube sees all of that and basically says to itself, hey, maybe we should recommend this Good Trouble show to people who don't know it exists. And that's how that works. And then also, too, I guess it was probably about 2 months ago, because we were also, doing commentary on legislation and whatnot, we actually changed our videos from science and technology to news and politics. And for whatever reason, it really pissed off YouTube, and they've no longer been recommending our stuff. So we've changed it back to science and technology. But again, if you please leave a comment, ring the bell. If you set the bell to go off, that's another thing YouTube looks at. All of those kinds of signals are really what helps us grow. And then also, you can find us on all of your major podcast platforms if you want to listen to us on the go. And last thing I promise, we have absolutely no sponsors on this show, like zero. We are kept entirely alive by people like you to pay the rent of the studio, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to help us keep afloat here and bring you great shows and great guests like we do with Sarah today, we are on Patreon at www.patreon.com/The Good Trouble Show. And you can also support us right here in the chat. You can do super chat donations. All of that stuff helps pay the bills. And so let's get back to, after my little shameless plug here, let's get back to some more videos. So let's see here. So that was this one we just looked at. All right, this one here, and again, I'm not going to cut to your close-up, so I'm not going to be looking at the close-up of your nose. So this says Pacific Cluster Pair, Unresolved UAP Report, Indo-PACOM, Department of War. This is in Japan. This is, let's see, that's kind of all I have on it. What the hell is this?
I don't know. Japan's a very hot spot. I even have a, I'm so sorry. So I have a good friend that was in the Navy and stationed over there for a while. And he said almost nightly they would see something and they would send jets out to look and to figure out what it was. It wouldn't show up on radars, and then sometimes it would. It was like once in a while it was like it observed to be something playful. But yeah, that whole area is a massive hotspot. And I'm glad I don't have sensory issues right now, because that's kind of nauseating watching it like bounce and stuff. So it's hard to tell if the camera is, stable, or if these things are bouncing around. I'll revert back to weather. So I have no idea what these little fun nuggets are.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell. Okay, let's see. Let's look at I think this next one. Unresolved UAP report, Middle East in 2020. Let's see, number 6 here. Actually, I have some conflicting information. It says Southern United States, so it could be wrong. Yeah, so I see like a target in the reticle there that looks like it's tracking in some clouds, but that's kind of it. There's really doesn't really tell you much, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. So, I mean, it kind of looks like it's just floating at a steady pace. So I like to think of looking for the maneuverables. Is it suddenly stopping, accelerating, decreasing, increasing an altitude very quickly? Kind of looks like maybe a weather balloon floating around, although the payload, oh, there it goes. The payload is really, really hot. So I don't know about the weather balloon, because the polyurethane of the balloons usually don't get that hot, but you could see the equipment like either inside of it or what's hanging below it really well. So I'm not sure. So this is kind of like, now you guys are seeing like, this is how the analyst brain works, of trying to go through to figure out stuff when it's face value and you have no other information. Which thankfully I was always lucky to have more information doing the analysis when, I was supporting the task force on this. Oh, and then as it goes out, it gets closer. That looks really interesting.
Yeah, let me get back to that part. And I'm guessing if you were looking at the unredacted version with all the heads-up display data, it would make it much easier for you to say whether this is prosaic or not. Or is that even necessarily true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's a lot of parallax going on there with seeing the cloud layers behind it and the movements. It's really hard to tell the speed of the object, which again, if you had all the data, you would be able to potentially figure out the speed and the altitude. That's just really
pretty.
Yeah, you can't really do much science with any of this stuff.
Right.
Although that looks really crazy. You went
sorry.
back. You promised you wouldn't do that.
Sorry about that. You look great from all angles. So, and I also want to point out to the audience, folks at the end here, please, if you have questions for Sarah, put them in the chat, put them in all caps, and we will ask those, or I'll ask those questions to Sarah on air. Okay, let's see here. Here's number 7. And
that look cool.
It looks like something zipping by. Now let me see if I can.
I was going to say, can you see it? Freeze frame. So this one, when I first saw this one, I got excited because like this is a lot of the type of data that we saw. It's quick. You don't know what it is. It's hard to like. The drone operator likely couldn't go find it because they also might be looking at a mission. Look how fast that's going. That's leaving like a thermal shadow as well. I mean, maybe it's like smoke, or I don't think it's smoke, but that's a good pause. Excellent. You're not like zoomed in on me right now, right?
No.
So it's so cool. So this video got me excited, because this is a good example of what we were dealing with on a regular basis of not having the best quality data, not, perhaps like the drone operator didn't want to have a go back to talk to him on what it was, but it was less than 2 seconds long or something. So they also are like, I don't know what it was, but it was recorded. So a lot of stuff was unidentified and it just was inconclusive.
And it says here, sorry, this is 7. So I'm just reading here, Department of War, shortest in the release mission report, labels it as possible missile. Let's see here. At the 2-second mark, the video depicts area of contrast moving left to right, the bottom third of the video. I mean, could this thing be a missile?
I mean, I would think you would have had some sort of missile warning, missile defense systems letting people know that a missile was going, and you wouldn't release it as unidentified data.
Okay.
So, I mean, sure, it's definitely possible. I don't think I've ever... I never bothered looking at a lot of missile data in things like this either, so I have nothing to go off of, a baseline of what a missile would look like if you paused it and it went through the frame. And so I would want that. At first, like, I would want to go find a similar set of videos to see what a missile looks like. I just have never been in a job where I had to watch that kind of stuff all the time, thankfully. But yeah, you would... My first thought is you would have missile warning and defense, and perhaps not label it as unidentified then, because you would have the information. Looks really cool, though. I really like it. Definitely. Sure. And it doesn't look like... you don't see the starburst pattern, no pixel saturation, but you see either... I'll go ahead and call it smoke or a thermal shadow behind it. So sometimes that happens as an artifact of the sensor, because something might either be super hot or super cold, and the pixels will still have to have time to shift and change. It's like and cool down type things. That it is more of a hot run sensor. Maybe technology is adjusted and it doesn't anymore, but at least in my day when I was looking at this stuff, the IR sensors ran hotter and took more power.
The fact that this thing is like jet black, what does that tell us?
That just depends on what the sensor's doing. So you might have hot black, hot is black, or hot is white. So white could be hot, black could be hot. So it depends on the pixel. I'm sorry, on the viewing data. And we don't have it. Looks like, I don't know. I can't even tell. Is that trees down there? Trees look like they're cold. So maybe it's a cold object. I'm speculating now because we don't have any. All of that stuff would be on what's omitted.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. Let's see here.
Say, hot or cold, and what is what.
Okay. All right, let's see here. So this is number 8. Let me get over to the right page. Okay, here we go. This says says longest ascent climb. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was joking that that's a boat, and then it zoomed in. I said yes, I was right. I was making a silly joke.
And I don't really like. So I see a boat, but it's like, I don't really... Now this clip is about 4 minutes long. So...
oh, gosh.
Okay,
now...
you
can see the rings. So that is an artifact of the sensor, and somehow, sometimes how things are overlaid with each other. So kind of like James Webb Telescope will make different patterns when there's pixel saturation, because that's how the mirrors are... well, this isn't a mirror, of course, because James Webb is a different optical sensor. Looks like something in the water. But you could see the pattern of the sensor itself, which is really cool. So that's similar to like electro-optical sensors when they have the mirror patterns and create different starbursts from that mirror pattern as well.
Okay.
I don't know if any of that made sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Okay, so it looks like what they're tracking this kind of white ball, and we're just going to kind of continue to let this play through. And feel free to. I'm not going to cut to your close up. I'll stay on this if you need to lean in.
Okay, thank you. I'm. You're warned. I'm leaned in.
I mean, could that be a balloon?
Fun to go through all this. It makes me miss looking at it as well. I mean, that there's no maneuverable. There's Kind of looks like it's floating on the wind, flying on the wind, maybe. That's a good way to see parallax as well. So you see the background is moving in a different direction than the object. So it's going to be difficult for our brains to really see how fast or be able to tell how fast it's going, because the background is moving at a different speed than the object itself that we're focused on.
Now, does it look like the camera is, so if we go back here, if the camera is slewing at a certain kind of vector, which it doesn't, well, it actually may be slewing a little, changing direction a little bit, but does this even tell you anything, the way this thing is kind of floating in relation to the center reticle?
Yeah, I would start thinking this would just be a balloon, like floating kind of in the wind, because it looks like it's going in a similar direction. I'm still, sorry, I got quiet because I'm still looking at it.
Yeah, sure. Now that looks like it's up against water now.
Yeah. Is it skimming in the water? I can't tell.
Oh, it kind of. So right there,
looks like it's kind of like a rock, like skipping over the water.
Yeah, it's going to happen here in a second. Right here.
That looks really cool. Maybe it's a bird.
Getting some fish. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe could have been a bird. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Mick West's seagull. Okay, so let's see here. So that was let's see. I think it was number 7.
That was funny.
Good 8. Joke. Here we go. Oh, let's see. Now, that looks like, I don't know what that is, because it looks like it's got a tail hanging below it.
Yeah. When I first saw this the other day, my first thought was, I got excited because like sometimes there's the jetpack looking UAPs.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Did not anticipate that hiccup too quickly.
That's okay.
So I would have thought, like my first thought before I really hit play was, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of the jetpack UAPs. And it kind of doesn't. It resembles more of like a balloon. So when you have some weather balloons, again, like the polyurethane usually can see through, so it won't be overly hot. But sometimes they do have like a metallic layer in them, but their payload is dropped down below them. And so you could see the payload like that. So this to me resembled more of a weather balloon type video. Again, have really no clue because of not having metadata to go with it. But this resembles a lot of the weather balloon type data I've seen of the payload. So the payloads drop down and like tethered through either like some fiber optics or maybe actual like cables. And the system itself that collects a lot of the weather stuff is floats down below it.
Okay. There's another one. Oh, sorry. That looks like same one.
Yeah, this was crazy. This almost, to me, I was like, is that a dirigible? Also, super happy I just got to say dirigible on this.
And what does that mean? I've never heard that word before.
Dirigible is a fun word for a balloon. What's the one that crashed? Oh, there's a dirigible base down in North Carolina.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Anyone out there, help. I don't have YouTube up to help me to read the comments.
So this could definitely be another balloon.
Yeah, so the oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking right now. It was like a super famous balloon ship thing that crashed. Oh my gosh. It's like what was in Indiana Jones, in one of the Indiana Jones movies.
Okay. Yeah.
No? Anyone?
Yeah,
okay.
Not sure. Okay.
Hello? So, but those are used as, at least they used to be. I don't know if this is an active thing still or not. but they are some of them are tethered. Like we were using them in the Middle East during the 2003-ish war, and then we were also using them in different countries in the Middle East for decades after that. I guess it can't be decades because we're not that far away, but they're also tethered sometimes too, so they don't move too much or too far because they're literally tethered to the ground. So they're doing they have sensor pods on them doing surveillance on the ground.
Okay, let's see here. So we got that one. Let's see. Okay, that's that one. So this is another kind of longer one. Yeah, you can kind of.
Oh
okay.
yeah, I like this one. This one has some maneuvers in it. It looked really cool. I got really excited seeing this one. It has some little zippy doos around, and you could this one was really fun to look at, and I got really excited about that.
So this could be. Go ahead.
No, it's just Krypton's meowing now. I don't know what he wants. Does it say any data where it was? Was this in the Middle East? Well, I guess not. It's water. It looks like water. Never mind. Indo-PACOM.
Let's see. Oops, number 12 was in PR 34. Let's see. This one, it says in Greece from 2023.
Oh, this was the Greece one. Okay.
NATO Eastern Flank, Russian air activity, Allied airspace.
Yeah, okay. There were a couple of Greece ones that were dropped. I really liked this one. This one got me very excited. And to think perhaps this really is anomalous because of the maneuvering that was doing. So it would stop, turn, pivot. And I mean, I have no idea what birds are in Greece if they would do those type of maneuvers. So I would have to research all that stuff too to officially declare something as anomalous or not. But I got excited by this video, just the possibility of it actually being truly unidentified and a UAP. Got
it. Okay. Yeah. So I guess here, this whole thing's around 3 minutes. Looks like it's flying off, but it looks like it's kind of no longer doing those maneuvers.
Yeah, it'll say in the description. They did a pretty good job of giving timestamps. So it would say 0 to 12 seconds, not in the frame. 12 seconds, it's acquired. Moves left to right or something. So they did a pretty good job of at least narrowing down those long videos on where you could fast forward to.
Okay, so let's see here. Okay, this is my neighborhood. Yeah, that one I thought was really neat. I mean, it didn't maneuver at all, so that's of course one of the things that I've said a lot. Take a shot every time I've said that, right? You'd be drunk at the end of this video or end of this podcast, but no maneuvering, so that was unfortunate. It looks really cool. You can't really see bird wings flapping or anything. My first thought would go to birds because it is going in a straight line, not maneuvering or anything, but we truly just don't know. There's no data to back it up. There's no camera drone operator to call. We can't phone a friend to ask did you track this later on in your shift or see other things? But yeah, this looks really cool. Does this one look like anything? I can't really. Oh yes, there it is. There's targets kind of near the bottom.
Yeah, and so there goes that dead pixel. Remember I was talking about the dead pixel by the end, the north? Yeah. So that pixel is not moving. But yeah, that's really, I mean, I'm so happy the government released so much to say, go forth, children, do what you want with this. But it's just so frustrating that they gave a date. I guess that's cool. And they gave a rough approximation of, Japan, Greece, but it's still really frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's move on. We've looked at some videos. Of course, there are a bunch more, but I want to get to the other stuff.
Thank you, and I hope others out there, if you had questions or something. I don't have YouTube up. I kind of wish I would have, so I could have seen some of your comments and stuff too while this was going on. I'll do better next time.
No worries. Yeah, and we'll read some stuff here. So I want to talk about the popular mechanics that just came out with you in there. I don't have the article up, unfortunately, but I'll be sure to put it in the in the description. So this is like kind of is this like your first sort of major publication that you were quoted in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's super duper exciting. The day that I was replying to the reporter's questions about it was the day of my anniversary of the event. So that was also really, really cool. And the day it was published, which was the May 13th, I had been downgraded from being in the ICU to the intermediate care unit. And then another day, I think, was when I officially like posted it on social media, was the day I got released from the hospital. So it was really cool, the synchronicity of the timing, and just feeling so blessed that it was valued enough to be shared. And it's in popular mechanics. Like my younger self, in college, reading all of these magazines front to back, in my physics classes, never would have guessed I would end up in popular mechanics talking about a black void of love and dying and coming back to life.
Right. So walk us through this entire experience, and again, we'll put a link to the article in the YouTube description. But walk us through this whole near-death experience and how it changed your life.
Yeah, I will say first, the reporter, the questions that they asked me, I responded to, and so they kind of injected a little bit of words here and there. So I didn't actually die on the operating table. It was in the recovery room. But that question was never asked where it actually happened during the procedure. So I was getting a septoplasty, a deviated septum fixed. I couldn't breathe. I was suffering from migraines most of my life, so it was hopefully going to fix all of my breathing problems. The surgery went well, and in the recovery room, it did not. I initially woke up. I asked for stickers when I wake up from surgeries. I don't know why. That's just who I am. And when the nurse gave me my stickers, I'm hugging them. I'm so proud of them, and I'm like, okay, can I go back to sleep now? I'm still really tired. And she said, yeah, I'll wake you back up in a few minutes. And I remember hugging my stickers. I worked so hard for them. And then I saw blackness, and I heard the nurse say, oh my God, she's not breathing. And I thought, who's not? Like, I pray that somebody's okay. I didn't see anybody else in here with me. And it was me. And then the next thing I knew, I was in this blackest of black void with my loved ones. And it was the most amazing feeling of love and peace you could ever imagine. And then whatever you can imagine, it's more than that. It was so phenomenal. And my loved ones were there, and I got to see them. And like a couple of them, I kind of forgot. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot you were dead. Sorry about that. And chatted with some people and got to smell my grandma's soft soap scent that she always had, and my grandpa's Old Spice aftershave. And it was so wonderful that I didn't want to come back.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really caught me, that, you didn't want to come back. And, most people would think like the impulse would be the other way. It's like, hey, I want to get back to my living life. But I understand that you kind of argued with God, and and God said, nope, you're heading back. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was so in the middle of just mostly still greeting my family and just kind of, catching up a little bit. And, one of them, the one that I forgot that had passed away, was when I was little, and it was a very good family friend. So just kind of catching up and saying hi. And even though I'm in this black void, I knew where every single person was. I knew all of the things. I knew I wasn't fearful. I wasn't scared, even though I couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden I hear a voice, and I call it God because that's God to me, source or whomever. So I heard a voice and it said, you got to go back. And I was like, no, I don't. I have free will and I choose to stay. There sucked. Here is wonderful. And it said, no, you actually don't have a choice. You have to go back. And so we argued, and my family teamed up with God, with the voice, with source. And I started getting upset. I'm like, whose side are you on? Are you kidding me? Don't you want to see me? And as I'm arguing back was when I woke up.
Wow. And do you have any idea how long you were you flatlined or however long you weren't breathing?
So after I stopped breathing, my heart stopped soon after that. I never asked specifically how long I was gone for because I don't know why that part scares me, but I'm fine, right? Like I don't have like I might have brain damage, I don't know, but my brothers might say I do. I really don't know, but I know it was less than 2 minutes. It was just shy of 2 minutes. But my time, in heaven felt like 20, 30 minutes long. Like it felt like I was there for so long. And that was my first time kind of realizing. I've heard some people talk about time's not linear, and I wasn't spiritual yet then. This was 2012. I was still, pretty religious, and I didn't understand this time's not linear concept, especially with the astrophysics and physics background. What do you mean? And so that was my first moment of a time warp and not comprehending what had happened. And I knew I'd be fine. So when I woke up, I had nurses and doctors and all of this chaos. And I remember so much of it. I remember I kept on thinking my body was going through some survival motions. And I'd remember thinking, didn't they hear God tell me I'd be fine? Didn't anyone else hear that? Because I was in this blackness. And so I didn't understand how there was so much panic around me when I was told I couldn't leave yet and I had to stay. And so I ended up, the theory is when my body restarted, I was saved by CPR and an epinephrine shot. So when my body restarted, my stomach was full of blood from the surgery. And when I took my first breath, I vomited, and all of that fluid went right into my lungs. So I couldn't have a breathing tube in my nose because I had stents in it from the surgery because the surgery went well. And so surviving was literally on my own. And I was coughing out the substance, and I was also vomiting out the substance in my stomach. At that time, I didn't understand the two consistencies. One was foam and one was liquid. So I was really confused by that. Doctors were saying I had a pulmonary embolism. I didn't know what that was at the time. Everything was just really confusing, and just chaos was happening everywhere.
Wow. Okay, so after this, you, as I understand it, you had, how do I explain this? You developed mediumship, or was this before that you had it? What is mediumship? I kind of know what it is, but really I don't.
Yeah. Well, I guess so mediumship is, you could see loved ones on the other side, ghosts. You could talk to ghosts. You could, you see pets. Like one of my cats has passed away, and I see him once in a while visit me. So I had seen spirits most of my life. I have had vivid dreams with loved ones that would come to me in my dreams. And I didn't realize at the time that those were something more of, on the mediumship side of things. To me, it was just normal. And I'd go tell mom, hey, grandma came and said hi. And she gave me this message. My grandma actually even let me know a few months ahead of time before my grandpa would pass, before her husband was going to pass away. And so this was normal to me. And then after the near-death experience, I started having psychic things happen. So, I'm going to get the phrase wrong right now, because I am very tired at the moment. But, I don't even want to say it because I'm so scared of getting it wrong. But not all mediums are psychics, but all psychics are mediums. So hopefully that's right. I'm starting to gaslight myself that it's wrong, but so if that's wrong, just reverse what I said. But psychic abilities are more in touch with tapping into future and tapping into different energy to talk with a higher form, a higher frequency than just where loved ones are. So let's say, we have these lights here. This is we're in a 3D existence here. So you have to raise your vibration and your frequency to talk with loved ones. And you have to raise it even more to talk to communicate for psychic things. But I started having these experiences happen to me where I didn't understand. I would this sounds so silly, but it freaked me out. But I had a crown pop off. But for many days before one of my crowns popped off, I felt it in my mouth loose and moving around. And so when it popped off, it kind of freaked me out. I'm like, did I predict? Like, what's going on? So these silly little things were starting to happen more and more. Okay. And then they were happening more to the point where I was hearing car crashes in my head, in my ears. Like, I heard a car crash. I wasn't even driving a car at the time. And so I'd text my family and be like, everybody be okay today. And it ended up being one of my best friends got in an accident later that day. So stuff like that started happening to where it wasn't me. It was happening with other people, and things progressed to where I was freaking the F out because I didn't know what was happening to me and I needed to go get help. And so that's when I found my spiritual teacher, and I hired her for a session to sit with her. And super fun because I was briefing a 4-star general that day, the director of NSA, National Security Agency. I left my briefing to go to the psychic mediumship appointment. And wow. That's where she told me I could sit in her seat. And I was freaking out. Like, it definitely was happening to me. Now I know it happened for me, but it was pretty scary.
Wow. And do you see ghosts all the time? Does it come in waves? Like, you'll see nothing for 6 months and all of a sudden stuff will start appearing. How does that work?
Yeah, through training and through classes and practice, you learn boundaries. They need boundaries just as much as we do. And if I saw them all the time, that would be really draining and exhausting for me because I would have to operate at a different level. It takes a lot of calories and a lot of food to do that. So I eat quite a bit enough as it is. So I try to keep my boundaries very strict with them. And I haven't been doing readings for clients for a while now. So it's other reasons why I'm taking a break from that. But no, I don't see them all the time. Sometimes they do break through my boundaries. And usually it's at a time when, a best friend is talking to me about something they're troubled with, and I get a little image or words or something, and then I'll relay that to them. There was a time when I worked at the Pentagon, and stuff would just fall off the wall at my desk. And if you're in cubicle farm, right? It's in this old cubicles. And my your headset that you use to talk on the phone was just hanging on the wall, and it would fall down. And it would fall down with during a meeting when multiple teammates would be at my desk and be like, "What was that?" I'm like, I'm gonna worry about that right now. And so then I went to, and it was happening enough, and I would hear my name. So that means it's an intelligent spirit whenever they would say your name. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go out in the hallway. We're going to have a chat. I'm done with this. You guys are not allowed to invade my workspace during the day. And come to find out, they just wanted to be known because it was some of the people from 9/11. I worked in a corridor not too far from where the plane hit. And once I talked with these souls, they stopped. And they just wanted to be heard. They wanted to be acknowledged. And so, no, I don't see them all the time. But I can, I guess, tap into them, and let them know the clock is on to have a chat if they want to.
Wow. Yeah, and I've been to that little area inside the Pentagon, the 9/11 thing. It's just it is very, very cool. Okay, so if you have some time, it truly is. It truly is, and boy, that building is huge. Okay, if you have, say, like another 10 minutes, would love to throw some audience questions at you. This one is actually not a question. This is from someone, friend of the show, who's been on, Science Bob McGuire. Bob, firstly, thank you for the generous super chat. It'll go straight to paying the rent. There is my awesome karaoke partner, Sarah Gamm, and I am the man in the box. What the hell does that mean?
I just almost spit water out. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Bob, for those that haven't met Bob yet, he is an amazing soul. So smart. He posted one of our photos. It was actually the first time we met. We took a selfie together and he made this AI, this silly AI video of us singing that song. And it was very creepily looked like us standing on a stage singing. And there was a little bit of backlash. The UAP community didn't think it was as funny as we did, but we didn't care. So we're good karaoke buddies.
I love that. You don't want to hear me sing, so I don't think you'll be. I'll be in the audience cheering you and Bob on. We'll put it that
Awesome.
way. Okay, this is from DenClout 2025. Hello to you both. My question for Sarah: in the next publications, will we have images or videos of debris from UAP? This is from Dennis Claudier from Quebec, Canada. I don't know. I hope so.
I have no idea. That would be really cool. Oh my gosh! Now that's got my brain going. Like photos from like Roswell crash of debris, and like I love the stories. And I've heard them firsthand from people when they have debris from crash sites. It's like a tissue, so you could crumple it up, and then the second you let it go, it goes back to its original form.
Right.
That would be really cool. I'm not special enough to know what is being released and what isn't. I wish I could tell you cooler things, but I like that question. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a great question. That wasn't something I ever thought of, but yeah, that would actually be really cool to see something that they're holding in their hand, and if they say after all this time we still don't know what it is. That would be pretty telling. Okay, this is from Allie Crafter 64. Really enjoying the show. Thank you very much for that comment. This is from Post Surreal Fish. How well versed is Sarah with the plasma physics of the 21st century?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. That class was a long time ago. So how about I say not well?
Yeah, I failed college physics, so you definitely don't want to be asking me.
No, I graduated. For those that don't know, I graduated undergrad in 2006. So that's been quite a while, and I have not. I mean, I've been able to utilize my degree in some jobs, but I haven't done, Diffie-Q differential equations or Calc 3 or anything like that since. So I don't know if I can do that again either, which is really sad because I worked really hard for that degree. So I will say I definitely don't know plasma physics well. I would know enough to be able to talk through a simple conversation on it, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is from Orange Orbs, which matches this question. I saw an orb closely, and I believe it is made of crystals. Sarah also said she thought they were crystals. Does she still believe that? I'm not sure what he's referring to, or she.
Yeah, no, I totally have. Thank you for that question. I have bounced around between thinking, yes, there's some sort of like crystal maybe we don't have on this planet, or maybe we don't know how to utilize them in that form, or like a plasma type energy, but that I can't talk about in too depth on. I do still stand by that some of them are crystals. I do think they're not all the same material. And I know there's different colors. I've seen orange and I've also seen blue. And one of them that kind of turned from like a blue to, of course, like blue and purple are really close on the visible spectrum, right? They overlap. So it kind of like morphed into a couple of those colors. Yes, some of them are definitely crystal.
Okay. Let's see here. This is from Randy Robert. John, has she ever seen an alien or footage of an alien?
Yes, I have seen one. I talk about it publicly that I had an encounter in my bedroom one night. And I have seen I have seen something. It's very hard for me to say because I don't know what to properly say, so I'm starting to stutter a little bit. I didn't mentally prepare for this. I have seen something in person in public as well before. And it's still, it was around a year ago, and something that took me days to process and to really, I guess, appreciate the situation. I've talked to good friends that have had known of similar encounters of others. And the spot I was in, there's been other alien entities that have been seen. But again, it was in public. It was really, it still is really hard to process. Like in my room is fine. It's like doing mediumship stuff. I'm used to spirit coming to me in my space. But in public was a whole different ball game, whole different set of emotions for me. And that was, people ask, what was it like seeing your first like truly unidentified video in a classified net system? And I was like, it was really cool. But this, to me, I couldn't process seeing this in public with just everybody else around type situation. So that was what stopped me in my tracks.
Would you mind going into detail as far as like what you saw and everyone? I certainly want to know.
I don't know because it could still be considered a U.S. citizen because it resembled a human. So the people I was with, we have discussed how to approach this and make sure it's a sensitive matter because they are here and they're interwoven in our society. But eyes changed. Eye color changed. The size of eyes changed. And the person knew going in to shake their hand, making eye contact, when their eyes completely changed color when I was saying goodbye, they knew what I saw. And the whole encounter was very interesting. There was even questions, like asking questions about like where they were from. They mentioned it was like talking to an AI bot. Exactly like something of ChatGPT, just blurting stuff out and it not making sense, but it's facts. And you're like, how do you know that Native American tribe? Like, what? And I'm from one of the areas that they said that they were from. So I'm asking all kinds of questions. And so I'm where I grew up, I'm 7 miles from the Mississippi River, but everybody there calls it the Mississippi. And so whenever you say, oh yeah, we're going on the river today, or we're going to the Mississippi, you know what's happening. And so I mentioned something about the Mississippi to this person, and well, not a she, like, don't know if it's a he or she, but they started talking about living in the state of Mississippi. And I was like, okay, now I've asked enough questions that I have my evidence that you are definitely not from here.
Wow.
But it was a very life-changing moment, and I'm sure everybody out there now can see the trouble I'm having of putting words out, but I also want to protect the person. I haven't said this story to very many people at all. And even my best friends, I saw my best friends a few hours after this encounter, and I still couldn't talk. I was still like, what just happened? What is my life? Like, what in the world? Like, that just happened. And my best friends that I see all the time, they kept asking me, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know how to talk about this. Like, I think I just saw an alien. What? And they're like, excuse me, I don't know. I don't know what words just came out of my mouth either. It was really, really cool and really crazy.
Wow. And did this being or whatever, do you think that it knew that you knew that it wasn't fully human or
absolutely.
whatever? Okay.
Because I think they knew when their eyes changed colors. One of the other people I was with saw their eyes change shape. And the physical features of the person that looked like a human were so abnormal.
In what way?
But I mean, even the face shape was more like a gray type being. Like, it was more of an almond shape, or I think Arcturians also have a more of an almond kind of shape and like bigger eyes. And so like a little bit pointy over a chin. I think I said almond. Maybe that was the wrong description. Maybe that was the wrong word. But like a pointier chin. Just like the muscle tone and definition was like something of like an animal in the wild that runs on a daily basis. It was amazing. But there were just some features that you kind of looked at and like that's not normal.
Right.
And then when the face features, like the eyes changed, that to me was validation that they knew that I knew.
Okay.
And it also felt like approval too, like approval of knowing what I'm doing here and talking about all this. And it did not feel like it was a random situation. Like, they knew we would be there where we were when we were.
And did this thing or this being or whatever just walk up to you? Like, how did the actual encounter happen?
It walked by. It was interesting. So the good question. I felt the energy before it got to me. And I felt it like come in the building, and my body, like I got like I really got like frozen. I'm like, what is going on? So my body was reacting before they were even in like my proximity, really. And then one of the other people also had the same reaction. And we both were like looking at each other, like going like, what is going on? And so they walk by, and we kind of reassess and reevaluate. We're like, okay, that was weird. Well, let's just go talk to them. And so that's what we did. We technically ended up approaching them. Is they the right? I don't know. So we approached them and talked to them that way of just saying hi. Like, you look familiar. Are you from around here? Have I seen you before? It's really crazy.
And was this in a public building? Was this a military facility? Can you say exactly?
Yeah, it was public. No, it wasn't. No, it was public.
Okay.
It was
okay. Got it.
Yeah, public
Gotcha.
place that like anybody would go in a high trafficked area. Very public place.
Wow. Okay. So I have to point out, and one of our good friends of the show that does these amazing memes on X noticed this as well. You have to your left the absolutely wonderful book from our friend Lou Elizondo called Imminent. And this is a question. He said, "Hi, Sarah. I see that copy of Imminent in the background. Is there anything you can say that would help clarify things for idiots that still try to say that Lou Elizondo isn't who he says he is? I hope you're doing well."
Oh, thank you. It's good to hear from you. I have this book here. Lou never asked me to put the book there. He's never, like, there's been no communication. I have it there because I support him and I love what he's done, not just for help for me throughout this process of being public, but what he's done for humanity and for the world. And we wouldn't be talking about any of this if it weren't for him. He's human. He has made some mistakes. So have I. I've answered wrong questions. Like in my first interview with you, Matt, I answered a question completely wrong. So lesson was learned from my end to get clarity when I don't fully understand a question or I think I hear something and it's not what you asked. So I keep Lou high in my on a like not a pedestal per se, because that sounds wrong. It's like a some symbolic type thing, but I value him in this community, and he's gotten a lot of pushback that he didn't deserve. There's been a lot of lies and disinformation put out there on him, and he's so humble enough that he takes it, even though he has evidence to prove otherwise, and he just doesn't share it. So I mean, just like what's happened to me, people try to discredit me. I've had hate messages sent to me telling me I should off myself because I'm nothing but a liar and I'm a disinformation agent and I'm a grifter, like all kinds of things. Like the UAP community tends to eat itself. Just like this release happening, the first thing of people's reactions was negativity because the metadata is not there and all that, but it was released. The government's actually doing stuff. So that's how I kind of think about Lou and his journey. He has been so persistent on saying what he thinks is the truth. Crop circle incident, mishap, right? Everybody makes mistakes, and he owned up to it, which I think is so valuable in this world, to own up to having mistakes. But we wouldn't be here without him. And I don't know if I fully answered your question, but I am in his corner, and I think he's just beyond brave for what he's been through. I think the book is phenomenal because it goes through history. It has so much. So if you're brand new on the topic, all you have to do is pick up this book to read it, because it talks about a lot of the historical things, Roswell and all of that is what I'm referring to. Sorry. So, and then it goes through how nasty people are and what his family went through. And that it reminds you he's a real person, and goes through his father's passing, which him and I were friends at that point. So I remember experiencing it in person through him and then reading it in the book. And so, people like to forget that we're humans and we're real people and we have emotions behind this camera and this makeup that I put on to pretend I feel great today, which I'm not feeling the best. And I love the book. I think it's a good reminder of how far we could come from just bravery with one person stepping out and stepping up.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so last question for you. What's the next moment in the disclosure space that you're watching for or hoping for?
Oh, I think I said it earlier. Like, I'm hopeful for the next batch of released items to be more documents of having spacecraft and possible bodies. I hope at some point the government comes out and acknowledges the wrongdoings it's done to cover up military recovery missions. A lot of those soldiers gave their life to this country because they got some sort of radiation poisoning. They died from cancer, and the government never acknowledged it. The government never told the family exactly what happened or acknowledged or paid for stuff. So, I mean, and that's a fact. Like, I have friends that this has happened to, and it's really sad how buried things are. So I hope that some apologies are said, not just to those people, but to the world as a whole. that all didn't need to be a secret. Not that hard. It's not worth those lives of those soldiers who signed up to protect our country and they took an oath. But to pretend that they didn't do what they did, that's heartbreaking to me. And those families probably would appreciate some closure.
I completely agree. And by the way, one of our moderators, Mary, said, tell Sarah she was trying to remember the name of the Hindenburg.
Yes, winner. Did it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And where can folks at home follow your work? And again, we'll put the link of the Popular Mechanics article in the description.
And Yahoo picked it up, so it's not through the Popular Mechanics paywall now, so that's really exciting. So where to find me? I'd say the best way is Instagram, Sarah Grace Warrior, all one word, no spaces or anything. And then my email is sarahgracewarrior@gmail.com. I am probably going to be shutting my website down, so if you reach out to me there, I don't know how much longer I'll have it, but I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just going to let it die.
Okay, well there you go. I don't have a website, so I don't have to worry about that. Well, thanks again, Sarah, for joining us and sharing these amazing stories, things that have happened to you in your life, and what a perfect fitting screen name for yourself. As I told you the first time we met over at Lou's Place, you're a force of nature, and you certainly are a warrior, and I know all of us are really grateful for putting yourself out there, standing up, and also just being a wonderful role model for young women and seeing what they can make of themselves and in science, and you're just doing amazing work, and it's such an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So good to be back on here, and hopefully I'll see you at Contact in the Desert.
Awesome. All right, very good. All right, Sarah Gamm, ladies and gentlemen. That was just fantastic. So again, thanks to Sarah Gamm for joining us, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. And if you love our channel, again, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification thing, and we will see you soon on the Good Trouble Show. Thanks for joining us.